Welcome to Surrounded by Sports. I'm Kevin Perkins, and this is Tim Spooneybarger. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great.
Right. Okay, so Tim has agreed to come on this show today, but also hopefully we will get to talk local baseball and probably more as the season goes on, as baseball season is beginning. They're doing, I think, the first preseason games over at West Florida Tech tomorrow. With, I think, Catholic Tate, West Florida Tech.
And you know, it's baseball time. It's freezing. You know, I feel so bad for the high school baseball guys. I remember being a high school guy. It's just brutal to start the year.
It is.
Especially if you're an outfielder.
Yeah.
You know.
There's nothing. You're just standing out there waiting. Yeah. Well, you were pitcher, right? So, I mean, you're doing stuff. You know, basically y'all throw and then you run. Throw and then you run.
Yeah.
Throw and then you run, right? And catchers, they're doing something because they're catching and then they're doing infield and they're blocking, which is what I did. But if you're an outfielder, man, you do a lot of standing around, and if you don't square it up on the bat, it hurts.
Oh, yeah. Hated that as a hitter. You love it as a pitcher.
Yeah, right. You laugh.
Yeah.
You get to laugh on the mound. Okay, so Tim, as you probably know, he pitched in the big leagues. He was with the Braves organization. That is that is your actual Braves jersey behind you, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you don't have your Marlins jersey up?
Man, that is at my dad's house. Yeah. And so
good for him.
My other one I wear to little functions and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
I always thought I'd have more, but I didn't play long enough to get that many. So yeah.
Right. Well, it's still though. I mean,
yeah.
Where else should it be? At your dad's house.
Oh yeah.
Tim was a world champion with the Florida Marlins.
Florida Marlins.
Yeah. Right. Wait, did they change that?
They did. I believe it's Miami Marlins now, which is still odd to say, but yeah, we're Florida Marlins.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't, no.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, of course. We're going to talk about Tim's path to the big leagues. We're going to talk about what he does now, which is, as you can see as well, play some guitar along with training young athletes to maybe follow in his footsteps, but at the very least, learn about how work ethic and things like that, positive mental attitude when you're going into things. And we're going to talk about stuff like that as well as we go through this episode. Sound good?
Awesome. Let's roll.
Yeah, talk about some influences and maybe some roommates. Who knows? All that and more after this.
You are watching Surrounded by Sports, the podcast hosted by Kevin Perkins. This show emphasizes how sports and life intersect while showcasing the Gulf Coast. And now, Surrounded by Sports.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you to Faust Builders, McCory Homes, and Sideline Sports Bar and Restaurant for allowing me to chase knowledge wherever I can find it and to figure out how sports and life can intersect. Today, we're doing that with Tim Spooneybarger, Pine Forest Eagle. Tim Spooneybarger. I threw out there Atlanta Brave, Florida Miami Marlin. I left out Pine Forest Eagle, which that's where it kind of starts. But where does it start before that? When did you pick up baseball?
I would say when we first lived in Miami, when I was younger, both my brothers played, so I was kind of just following their footsteps. And that was just kind of the thing. I remember kind of everybody playing baseball, so I just kind of started there. And then moved here pretty young right after that. And my brothers kind of quit playing around middle school age, but I just kept with it.
Yeah. So, okay, this is weird, but I think I want to get into it. I don't perceive you as having been like pushed crazy hard to play baseball.
No, not at all. Not at all. I was the only one in my family really that did sports.
Right.
So it was kind of my own thing. My parents were really just happy to watch me. I never remember having any sort of pressure to play or to perform or practice or anything like that.
Right. Now, but you did, I think you mentioned you did always have a batting cage.
Yeah. Probably since I was 9 or 10, I had a batting cage in my backyard.
Right.
The first one is my dad went down, got some old shrimp nets,
yeah,
and brought them back, man, strung them up. It wasn't the prettiest looking thing, but it kept balls in, and yeah, I hit all the time.
Right. Right, which people think that's weird, right? He hit all the time when you make it to the bigs as a pitcher, but that's going to be another part of the conversation. But let's go ahead and jump ahead to this. because we're talking about that, your parents supported you in a way where they gave you the means to be as successful as you could. However, they didn't force you to do anything, and you worked. You enjoyed it because you were good at it, so you did it a lot on your own, right? You hit every day, probably.
Oh yeah, I loved it. You know, I think both of my brothers, they were into music, and they were older. So I think for me, baseball was a little different world. It kind of gave me my own thing, and then kind of having that batting cage. I just remember going by myself. I could go out there for hours just by myself and do stuff. So that was really big. I also loved basketball back in the day, just because same thing. I could play that by myself.
Right.
So I mean, I had some neighborhood friends, but most of my sports were done kind of by myself at a young age.
Or at least the learning of it.
Oh yeah.
Right. But see, I think people. Okay, I was watching this thing the other day. I think it was Orlowski, and it was the tight end at Miami that was so good that now does TV on Sundays.
Olsen,
Greg Olsen, right? He's a fantastic player. Oh. Incredible. He's better than Romo at like games.
He's good.
He's really good. Yeah. And but anyway, so they were talking about their kids, and they were like, "Yeah, tell my kid if the only time you pick up a glove is when you go to practice, it ain't gonna work. And if the only time you go out there and shoot hoops is when," and Orlowski's like, "Dude, it drives me crazy." And that was the thing, right? Nobody had to push you to go. You wanted to do it.
Yeah, I just loved it as part of an activity that I enjoyed a ton.
Right.
You know, and I would say there might not have been as many options as well.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
I try to get my kids nowadays just 5 minutes a day, just go hit or something.
Yeah.
Your arm is what it is, but you got to be hit for your whole life. And,
right.
Man, it's just hard to do it every day unless you just love it.
Right. But I do think, though, you see now so much, and I've been talking to so many people that do what you do in different sports, personal training. And they're like, dude, it's so crazy how the parents are forcing this, right? And it's frustrating because the kid doesn't know if he loves it or not because you're not allowing him to come to you and say, Dad, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think the biggest thing, you know, that bothers me is you're taking the joy of youth sports away because the pressure to perform at such an early age. So now, like, at what age did they just get to enjoy it?
Right.
You know, so you got to keep them from messing around during practice, yes, but they have to enjoy the game. Right. One of my goals every year as a coach was, you know, they have to want to play the game the next year.
Right.
I mean, if that doesn't happen, you're kind of in trouble, and you really didn't do your job, no matter how good they got. Like,
right. Yeah.
They got to want to play again and again.
Right. Yeah. One thing that drives me crazy when I see the number one 13-year-old in the country. What are we talking about?
Who cares? Man, you know, I've seen enough documentaries.
How much pressure is that kid under to be? What if he's number 2 next year? Everything went wrong.
It's it's just so much pressure.
Right.
You know, I couldn't imagine playing like that.
Now,
you know, just ever. You know, my dad, you know, he loved to take pictures, so he was always off with a camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I never remember like him, you know, telling me to get my arm up or, you know, do, you know, it's like, man, thank God. And you hear some guys now, I mean, they you want the best for your kid.
Right.
But literally, if you're coaching your kid while he's playing, just lay off, man. Like nobody wants to do that.
Right.
But the pressure now is travel ball, you got to win, you got to perform, and that's kind of...
Well, and also the money they've invested.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm putting in this many $1,000s this year, Billy better be taking it serious. And it's almost like you like you said, you take the fun out of it because it's really hard to separate the fact that you chose to put the money in. He's just playing. And that's tough, man. That's a tough thing. It's a tough decision for a parent to kind of compartmentalize. It's tough when it's your wallet.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think from the parent side, they want so much the best for their child.
Of course.
And I think nowadays, when you can flip through all these videos of kind of just telling you how to do things, you kind of figure if I can just get my kid to the right place, he'll get it.
Right.
You know, I would love to be a great golfer, but a lesson just isn't going to make me shoot par. You know, I got to go hit
Yeah.
15,000
Right,
balls.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
so that kind
Repetition.
of connection is missed, I think, with
Right.
the personal training aspect.
Of course.
You
of
got to
course.
get your butt at home and just do it thousands and
Right.
thousands
What,
of times.
what you learned in that hour has to be replicated for hours to go back and learn more the next hour, right?
Yeah,
Right. So,
yeah.
okay, let's go next. Now, when do you wind up in Pensacola?
I think when I was about 7 or 8, because I think I finished my last year of T-ball here and I rolled right into coach pitch. That was my first kind of memory
Right.
of Pensacola.
What little league part?
Bellevue.
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 Okay, is that where you learned the curveball?
Yeah. Coach Dwight Dumond, man, the stud. Yeah.
Yeah. You told me that's basically, you learned that pitch somewhere around 12 or 13, 11, 12?
Yeah, probably around 10, 11, 12. It was, back then the groups were together. So that age group, they kind of
Right, you
started
played 10,
teaching
11, 12,
it to
right.
us.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember if I was throwing it in games at 10, but I know by like 11 and 12, we were breaking it off. Yeah.
Right. And that pitch is, I would guess that pitch and the fact that you threw 91, could you already throw pretty hard at 10?
Yeah, man, I always threw hard. I didn't always know where it was going.
Right.
But I always threw
Right.
pretty firm. Yeah.
So that pitch and the fact that you had a lively arm are what got you all the way through. I mean, you would refine things, of course, but that's kind of neat that the pitch you still learn same hold,
Man,
same release point, everything.
Absolutely. That breaking pitch really became probably what got me to the big leagues.
If you research you on ChatGPT, it will say that was your main pitch,
Really?
but it calls it a slider.
Yeah.
It said location with your fastball was really important and that pitch. But I don't know that ChatGPT really knows.
So it's funny. I always technically called it a curveball because I threw it
Right.
like a curveball. I think it was determined slider because I threw it as hard as I could.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably why, my elbows ripped up.
Right.
to this day. But I mean, there was no hold back. So, I mean, it came in mid-80s.
Right.
And so really by kind of speed, it really broke more like a slider.
Yeah. It was a little bit more like that than like that.
Yeah.
It didn't drop like
I remember one time, man, one of my favorite memories.
the break of the ball.
I struck out Jeff Bagwell, and the very next day during batting practice, he came up to me and said, "Man, that split finger's nasty." and I didn't even, I didn't even say anything else. I was so, happy that he had spoke to me. And then afterwards, I was like, "Yeah, that was my curveball." I was like, I was excited.
Let him think I got a
But
split finger. Who cares?
But that's why I always just determine it breaking pitch and really, young pitchers as they're coming up. It's so funny. They want to throw a curveball, a slider, a cutter, a splitter. And
Right.
you need one breaking pitch basically for a few years. And if you can consistently throw that, you'll dominate as
Right.
far as pitching.
Right.
Most guys don't have a very consistent off-speed pitch
Right.
until almost it's too late in their career.
Right. So, are you a fastball, changeup, any kind of breaking pitch? Let's keep it to 3 type guy.
Man, I always
Or at least when you're younger.
I wanted to throw a changeup,
Yeah.
but I just never really got to it. The fastball and
Right.
the breaking ball really worked.
It was working, so who cares?
I was kind of trending towards moving towards a starter. I started a few games for Myrtle Beach, and at that point, I tried to put the changeup in. So I was throwing it in some outings, but I only started probably 6 or 7 games. And I had some shoulder problems, and then after that, I kind of shipped me back to the pen, and I
Right.
kind of quit throwing the changeup and
Right.
never really worked in it again.
The way you went about it, trying to throw 7 innings would be hard, which nowadays nobody does, but 5 innings would be hard. Whereas if you're going out there and getting, 9 outs, 6 outs, because you're throwing hard every pitch, probably better for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different mentality as far as coming in,
Yeah.
starting. You could kind of gauge yourself a little different,
Right.
and then I could have maybe got myself ready for that bulk.
Right.
But it's funny now looking back, kind of knowing what I know, my mechanics weren't good enough to be able to hold up for that long. So
Okay.
there definitely would have been a breakdown at some point. Really didn't teach pitching kind of now back then the way they did nowadays. So
Right.
just knowing some
there wasn't a spin rate.
things, it would be, none of that. But just being able to break things down, the motion a lot more with
Right.
slow-mo, you can kind of see what's a little more healthy and what's not, and
Right.
coach it from that way.
Uh-huh.
So, but it's just interesting through the years, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Pine Forest. You played for Mike Candler,
Candler, yeah.
and you said he had good influence on you. What was it? He had coached at the junior college level.
Yeah, Gulf Coast Community College.
And so you guys as a squad felt like, okay, this guy can prepare us for more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I liked him a lot, man. He came in, he knew what he was doing. He had a very good plan for everybody. As I came into the program, they were pretty established and they were winning and they were known for winning. So, you know, you were going to kind of follow any kind of head guy that was there. And I thought he did a great job.
Yeah. Right. Now you played outfield there?
Yeah.
Batted in the middle of the order?
Yep.
Hit the ball real well. And you were you the ace of the staff or?
No. Man, my sophomore year, we had a guy named Jake Jacobs that ended up getting drafted by the Minnesota Twins. He was a stud. One year older than me, a guy named Chad Rogers. He was more of a pitcher, like complete pitcher. That was his deal.
At the high school level too, right.
And he was our guy. We had another guy, David Llewellyn, son of Dennis. Man,
right,
he was on the staff, and he could throw as well. So I was always a great thrower, and I had a great breaking ball, but I always wanted to hit and play positions as well.
Right.
So I was always kind of outfield and then come in to throw kind of thing.
Right. I bet you could bring it from center or left.
I started in left, and then kind of as the years went, I moved over to center. Yeah.
Right, I bet you could hose it from center.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That feels good, doesn't it? When you crow hop and let go of one.
Oh yeah. you know, now working with arms though, it's so crazy. It's so bad for an arm to try and put all that stress working on pitching, and then you go out random days, a cold day like today, and you throw a ball from the gap. Throws like that can hurt your arm as much as pitching 6 innings.
Sure.
So that's kind of it's a gift and a curse. Always launching baseballs and getting guys out.
I remember this time of year in high school, we had some guys with good arms, and I just looked out there, and the outfielders were trying to see who could throw it over the weight room, and I'm like, bro, man, it's like 40 degrees and you're hurling the ball as hard as you can towards a weight room, but you're young, you know, and you can't be destroyed. You know what I mean? None of this breaks. I'm young, right?
Man, one of my best friends in high school, right before the season, him and his buddies were trying to throw a ball over center field fence, and he ripped his arm, man, and missed a lot of his season. It just, you know,
it's terrible.
You feel bad because I mean everybody's done it. You're always trying to see your arm, but you know it's like that game at the fair. You know, like you want to run up and see how hard you can throw to a thing, and every time kid tells me they've done that at the fair, I'm like, that's the worst.
Don't do that.
Please don't throw as hard.
You had
as you
warmed
can.
up. Yeah, right. What's funny too is like I have this new theory. I'm 55 now. I think I'm 55, and I have a new thing. It's DDDS. Don't do dumb stuff. I think it's a philosophy now.
Oh my gosh.
So you wind up at Northwest Florida College.
Yep.
And you didn't really play. I think it was a quad injury got you to the mound exclusive because you went up there. You'd been drafted. Mm-hmm. Okay, you've been drafted, and you said that you were a draft and follow. What does that term mean?
Man, so basically my senior year, season was getting started. We went to the preseason tournament, played over in Daphne. Mm-hmm. I pitched. I had a little shoulder problem. I had already signed to OW at this point, college. Yeah. Went to Dr. Andrews, and he said I had a little fraying in my shoulder.
Okay.
So he wanted to scope it.
That's your cuff. You wrote to the cuff.
And so he could wait till the end of my season to do it, and he wouldn't guarantee I'd be ready for college. Or they could go ahead and do it right then. I'd miss my senior year, but then I'd kind of be ready. I elected to have that done right away.
Sure.
At the end of the year, the Braves still drafted me.
Okay.
But they didn't want to sign me. They wanted my rights basically for a year. And then if I kind of proved that I was healthy, then they would sign me at that point. So I was shocked that I was drafted.
Right, because you were like 881 or something.
Yeah.
Which that number goes way down if you don't visit Dr. Like if you hadn't got hurt, that number goes way down.
Yeah, potentially. I think I would have had a really big senior year. But the way things work, had I not had that 1 year at OW, which it was a wild year trying to learn living away from home and baseball.
Right.
Had I not had that year, pro ball would have been too much for me.
Right. Okay, so there's a good question. Sorry to Pine Forest for jumping away from them so quickly, but did living in junior college or in college in general prepare you for everything about pro baseball that wasn't pro base, like wasn't between the lines, like washing your own clothes, paying your bill, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I was I was just far enough from home where I could still come home and do some things.
Yeah.
But I was starting to learn some independence.
It was a good first step.
It was really, the baseball in the routine was so intense.
Yeah. That's a good league you're in.
Oh yeah.
Great teams.
At that point, we're pretty immature dudes.
You ain't lying.
And so we all kind of get away from home. And so it was just very, very, very tough mentally, physically. Everybody basically there was the best player from high school. And now you're going there with all these guys. And, I couldn't hardly sniff the field at times. So it was a tough year, but I think a year needed definitely to kind of give me some guidelines.
Yeah, and a quirk of life, quad injury put you on the mound full time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have been successful hitting and all that stuff at the next level. I was never able to prove it.
Right.
I think I could have,
Sure.
but it kind of pitching probably would have been the way anyway.
Where did you learn location?
Pitching.
Because you said when you first started, it was all over the place. When did it become a thing where you knew where you were spotting the ball?
I didn't locate till I got to the Atlanta Braves, and they were big in the pitching philosophy. So it was the first time in my career that you every day that you played catch, your catcher sat down and you threw what was called a flat ground. He would take his hat off, set it on the ground. He would get on the outside corner basically and hold his glove right there, and you had to throw 20 balls. And your goal was that nothing on his body moved. He could just sit there and catch it with no movement. Okay. And so that's when daily.
That's called a flat ground.
Yeah, you're basically, instead of going to the bullpen and throwing downhill, way aggressive, we would just throw flat ground. And that's where basically all your timing comes together, your release point. I kind of look at it two ways. You have your mechanics, yes. But I've seen guys with bad mechanics with a phenomenal release point, and they dice guys up. Right. And then there's some guys, man, they seem to have great mechanics, and their release point is everywhere. And it's like you just can't figure out why. And some of that's probably mental as well.
Right.
But man, that release point, they are tied together, but they're almost a little bit separate as well. Like you got to be really great at both of those.
Right. Right.
So,
but that flat ground practice is where you learn to locate.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know a guy. I had a coach, Randy Putman, played in the Padres organization, right? And he told us a story about, and he was talking about work ethic and all that. And he said, he's at the big camp. He never made it to the big show, but he was at the big camp, and he heard this guy down in the bullpen cussing, and he's like, "What is going on down there?" And the catcher's just doing this, right? He looks down and it's Raleigh Fingers, right? Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer. Well, Raleigh Fingers knew, if I miss by that much, no job's guaranteed. At this point, he's late in his career.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you're saying though, if he moves his hand at all, you failed in what you're trying to do here in these 20, right?
Yeah. First pitch strike was so big then.
That was a Braves thing too, though.
Yeah. And then back before the automated strike zone and all this. Man, they would start to give off the plate. So if you could control the black, now if you can move it 3 inches off the black, he's still going to call that same pitch, but you can stay to where a hitter really is now in a bind to try and hit that pitch, you know. Nowadays they can spit on it right there and they
Right.
get the review and you're like, no, not a
No,
strike.
it wasn't a strike, right. That's true though. That's so true. It's we came up in an era where if a ball was a strike and Wade Boggs took it, it was a ball. And they said he earned that call somehow. Right? He earned that call. And Glavine, like you like Glavine is the predominant thing that comes to mind when you said it. He hit the black in the first inning. And then by the third, he's almost in the batter's box with it. And they're calling it a strike. And you're like, yeah, he's great. I get that he's great, but he's pitching. This is his plate.
And one of the greatest things was being with the Braves and actually going
you were in his
to
clubhouse.
watch those guys throw bullpens because they would do early work. You know, we would have pin days.
Yeah.
And I'd go down and watch. And, you know, your younger pitcher, like even me, I'm throwing about 95%. I'm trying to be super nasty. I think Leo's watching, you know, so I'm under pressure. And I remember Maddox and Glavine, even Smoltz, man, like they threw so under control and they just commanded every single pitch. And it's like, it was just so eye-opening, you know?
Right.
Like, I'm so
that's how it's
far,
done.
so far from these guys, you know?
Right.
And you know, I think I was just starting to learn how to do those things. But man, they were so good. Maddox is the only guy I've ever seen throw a perfect bullpen. You know, like it just kind of hit every single spot, you know. And he'd probably throw about 80 mile an hour.
Right.
You know, they would throw their pins about high 70s, low 80s, and just dot it up.
Right. Were you there when they opened the stadium?
So I was still at Turner Field.
Okay.
Yeah. You mean the new one?
No, I'm talking about. Were you there when they opened Turner?
It was just pretty new when I started playing there.
Okay.
Because when I was young, I used to go to Fulton County, and one of the greatest things was driving to work every day. You went right beside Fulton County was the parking lot, you know. And I mean, I don't think there was a day I drove there that I just didn't like. Oh my gosh, this is, you know.
Right.
Used to come here and watch games, you know.
Right. Well, that's okay. So, quirk of life, you got to go to those games and get paid to do it. I paid to see Turner Field open up.
Really?
And Maddox pitched the second game there, and it was the quickest game in the history of baseball. He never went deep into any counts. It was mostly ground balls to the middle infielders. And we were in and out of there in like an hour and 40 minutes, bro. It was nuts.
Oh yeah, he'd say, man,
went
whatever
3-1
happens today, it's going to happen quick, man.
Yeah.
Because he was going to dominate strike zone. They were either going to hit him hard, or he was going to just. Oh, it was.
And if you were a worm, you were in trouble because it was all ground balls the whole day. But anyway, all right. And so then you're with the Braves, and you've got an ERA low 2, right? Things are going pretty good. You get traded for Hampton. Traded for Hampton, right?
Yeah, there was a big kind of three-team trade with the Rockies, and
Yeah.
Juan Pierre ended up coming to the Marlins as well with me from the Rockies. So yeah, it was a big kind of trade. But Hampton went to the
huge trade
Braves.
for them.
Yeah.
And Hampton was good up there.
Yeah.
And so you get to the Marlins, and that's when the arm injuries happen. But you're in a clubhouse with I'm looking at Burnett and Rodriguez's jerseys right now over on this wall. It's driving me absolute crazy. Because Pudge is like, as a guy who played catcher, Pudge is like I have no clue what you've seen, right? Like the conversations where you go, and then Maddox does this, like Javier Lopez to me, it was like incredible.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Just an incredible player.
My grandmother was so happy to meet him. She was like, she
he's
was
a good guy. He's nice, right?
She was so happy. I was so happy for my grandma. She just wanted to meet Javi Lopez.
He was almost like a matinee idol in a way, because he was on your TV every afternoon, every early evening. Good guy. You know, he always gets the clutch hit.
What a stud.
Catching the best staff there is, you know. Jeepers. Anyway, so, and Pudge was similar, you know what I mean? He was more of a, I would say, physical presence at one time. And then, so you're on that club, though, and then the arm injuries happen, but you still win the World Series. Like, that's weird?
Yeah, man, it was really weird, you know.
Because you had to be elated
and
frustrated.
You feel like you're you know, your whole life you want to kind of help in that scenario or play in that scenario. And to sit over there, you're kind of helpless. But, A.J. Burnett was over there with me at the time, and I remember, I want to say there was another couple guys hurt, and it kind of really fueled us through that. We're like, all right, man, we're going to come back. Like, no, we'll make this happen. We're going to come back and do it again. And it was just a weird feeling of watching it. Super happy, but a little
because you were at all the games,
dejected as well. Oh yeah, man,
you're in the clubhouse.
Probably the greatest thrill was the Bartman game.
Yeah.
I remember being in Chicago when that all went down and running back and forth into the clubhouse to try and see on TV, what they were saying.
Right.
It was wild. So
wait, did Renteria hit that?
That hit the ball?
Who hit the ball?
Oh man.
It doesn't matter. Renteria was a hell of a player.
Oh yeah. It might have been Encarnacion.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah, man. What a crazy. You see it's crazy. Okay, so both organizations successful, especially when you were there. We were talking yesterday in private about how money can get in the way of things. We both said, when you get to like now the way they're paying college players, and now they're even starting to talk about playing high school players, and what a weird thing that's going to be for their heads. This is something that I find curious. It's a weird question though. Did you find that the later in the year, the more was on the line, the more numbers started to go out the window, and it was just about the win, like the playoffs and that stuff? Not necessarily.
Man, I don't know. I think
because you're pros. You are. It is a job.
I would say from my experience, it almost seems, especially being young, it was almost everybody was kind of in their own bubble, so to speak. And I think everybody tried to do as good as they possibly could for themselves. But I think also winning baseball,
right.
Once you start worrying about winning, then the personal stuff starts to really take care of itself.
Dissipates a little.
Yeah, so it's almost a little bit of both, I'd say.
Well, baseball's the weird game, right? Because, you are hitting off a tee by yourself. And if you're a pitcher and your day to start, nobody's talking to you. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be the guy that says the wrong thing that irritates you, right? And so I'm not going to come near you, right? In the bullpen, as you start thinking it might be your turn, you start to kind of get away from the other people. Most people do. Yeah. You stand by yourself out there in the field. It is very much a maximize yourself inside of a group scenario, which is something I like to talk about here because I think that's kind of what sports is supposed to teach you anyway.
Yeah.
You maximize yourself inside of the group.
Yeah.
And then when you go to work, when you quit playing ball and you go to work, that's kind of what you're trying to do as well, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest coaching tips for guys, man. You try and really focus on being the best teammate. You can't really say just focus on yourself because that really sounds kind of selfish. But
it does not roll off the tongue.
Being a great teammate means you're holding yourself accountable for your energy and your effort and how you interact. And man, when everybody can start doing that, now all of a sudden that's your magical team,
right?
Because of that interaction.
Right.
So it is a special thing.
Right. And let's pivot into this. You seem like you are a very upbeat guy. You know what I mean? You seem like I would assume that when it's time to do lessons with kids, your heart rate goes up a beat.
No, I love it.
There's a little bit of pop in your step. Yeah. I've seen you at multiple autograph signings, and you're not looking at your watch.
Yeah.
You enjoy it when somebody comes and says hello to you. You enjoy it when an older player or an ex-coach or whatever comes over. And you enjoy interaction with people. Is that true?
Oh yeah,
naturally.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an honor, for somebody to want to talk to you for kind of playing sports or being, kind of important, or they want to engage. And then too, people can have a negative perception of meeting an athlete at times. And some of my favorite players didn't end up being a great meeting.
It happens. Yeah.
You know, so I always look at lessons or coaching or something.
Right.
You try and make an experience to where they'll remember they were with a major league guy. Like, I want them to know that we try our best, we give great effort. And I think if I'm representing that and I don't give good energy and there's no eye contact and I don't tell them to work hard, like, then I'm kind of selling the wrong thing.
Right.
You know,
right.
The energy is really where it's at, and paying attention and being respectful. All those things are kind of how I started up. So that's important to me. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The guys I do lessons with, it's funny. They know by now. I've had a lot of them for a long time. If mom and dad brings them and they just come and go through the motions, like, they're getting an earful from me. Just, you know, because if you're going to train, you have to train with intent.
Right.
It's not to train perfect. That's not the point. That you're training with intent to get better at something.
Right.
There's a big difference in that.
Well, let's don't waste today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right.
But then again, man, I am so blessed. My whole career, I've basically been able to wake up and determine what I want to do that day. And that's something that, man, not many people have gotten the luxury to do that. So
yeah.
I can't really walk around very upset. I don't have much to be upset about unless I screw something up.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Right.
I'm pretty lucky.
Well, that's another thing sports can teach you is ownership of mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And you get better at that as you get older.
But you also have to move on from it, which is another thing sports is supposed to teach you, right?
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, in 3 sentences, I became jealous of you. Right then.
Yeah.
Because you said, whenever I get to decide what I want to do. Like, I don't have that. I'm so jealous.
you know, I will say on the flip side,
yeah.
You know, a whole nother discussion, but, you know, a lot of years of, you know, there's a lot of time that a lot of free time may not be great when my head's not in a good spot. You know?
Right.
I've had a lot of downtime because of, you know, I equate some of my stuff as failure, not as much success, because I didn't get to play that long.
Right.
So I've had to kind of live with
which is crazy, by
missing World Series and missing years of baseball, which I see that as I failed.
Right. Whereas from my chair, it's like you were in a clubhouse with 20 Hall of Famers. You know what I mean? There's no, like, nothing I could have done could have gotten me to the level you were at. Right?
Yeah.
I could have done everything exactly right, and I was never gonna be A-ball, right? And you know what I mean? So from where I'm sitting, you achieve so much, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of weird because I think that's a natural way to go about things. I think it's natural for us to be like, well, I could have done more. Yeah, well, yeah, you could have, but man, you did a lot, man.
Yeah.
you know I mean,
I don't know.
a minute ago you were talking about striking out.
Bagua.
Come on, man.
Yeah. But I think a big part of that, though, is coming from this era, you know, you had Jay Bell, Travis Fryman,
right?
These big names that, you know, they're respected
Presley.
for years. You're Kevin Sauché. I mean, Presley. I mean, there's just guys, Llewellyn. And I wanted to kind of be one of those guys.
Sure,
you know,
of course.
And when you only play a year or so, you feel like you just got into it, and then it's kind of gone. And then living with that for years, you know, it was almost like it was cool to know you made it, but then the years of a lot of free time, it's like, man, you really you could have done so much different, or this different, and this different, you know.
Right.
So that's been, through the years, tough to try and overcome. I think in the last few years, I've finally gotten some peace with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really hard for a long time, kind of.
Does structure help with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I got to have, you know, a routine, which was so big into baseball. But
well, that was the thing, right? You had a routine. You hit every day, and then you threw every day, and then you had PT every day, and then all of a sudden you were retired. And so now there's not somebody.
Yeah.
And with your case, it wasn't even somebody. You were literally self-motivating yourself up until the moment that went, and then you have to find how to do that again. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah. The rehab, you know, was okay because you could go about that the same way, pretty tough with you know. But then after the years when everything kind of wasn't working, then you're like, man, what is the routine now? So it's definitely different. Thank goodness I got the kids, you know, and I'm lucky enough that they can kind of be a big part of the routine.
Right.
But yeah, too much downtime usually for me isn't always great, you know.
That there's a saying about that, right? Idle hands, devils.
Oh yeah.
You know, all that.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll finish up talking about post-career and neat stuff like that. Welcome back, folks. This again is Tim Spooneybarger, and he has been nice enough to give us some of his time today, and hopefully he will give me some time in the future. Thank you to McCory Homes, to Faust Builders, and Sideline Sports Bar, who have allowed me to chase knowledge today with Tim Spooneybarger. And so the career does finish up, and you come. Why did you come back to Pensacola? You lived all over. You lived in Baltimore for a little bit, right? You lived in
Aberdeen for just that summer while I was playing. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I was always a Pensacola guy. I thought I would live in Atlanta forever, to be
right.
honest with you.
I like Atlanta.
I thought I'd be kind of North Georgia, but always, really knew I'd come back here. You can't beat
Right.
the beach and all that stuff. So.
But you're not a boat guy.
No, well, I mean, I can be on a boat if it's moving. Once the boat stays still and it starts rocking, that's where the trouble happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like boat rides. I'm not a big fisherman.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's funny. That's funny, man. That is okay. So but you knew instinctively when it was over. You're like, no, I'm going back to Pensacola.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a long time before I ever thought it was over, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah, you can read it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I always still thought like next year, like it's happening, we'll go somewhere, we'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
After a while I had in my mind I might try Japan and like all these places just to keep playing.
Right.
But yeah, Pensacola was always going to kind of be here.
Right. Japan's a long way from Pensacola.
Oh man. and man, I hear that's a pretty rough place to play.
Yeah.
Just, crazy work ethic, which, they just practice like crazy,
Right.
people say. Yeah.
Didn't they make a Tom Selleck movie about that?
I think so. Pretty good one, too.
Yeah, it ain't bad. Okay, so when you get here, you start to coach a little bit. Where were your stops? I see a BTW chair out there. You were at Washington High School at some point.
Yeah, man. I was at West Florida High School back in the day, Gulf Breeze High School, Washington High School.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of helped out a little bit of everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you transition into personal training?
Man, honestly, it was just the amount of people that were craving it. I would have never imagined that private lessons would have been a thing, and kind of they started, and that's kind of the way in this time where things are moving so fast. It's kind of private training. So I fully expected to be a high school coach. That was my goal, to be a high school coach.
Right.
I figured I'd do that, kind of be at a spot, for years and years.
Yeah.
And the lessons just kind of kept going. And then within the lessons, the travel ball world also has just expanded greatly.
Right.
And so it was just a way to still be able to make the income, but to start spending more time at home. The boys were getting a little older.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just was a perfect transition.
Well, so also, did you like the intimacy? The one-on-one?
I do love it, yeah. I do. But I think there is something special about having a group.
Sure.
Because I think part of the athlete's job is to sell himself above everybody else, right? In the world of singular training, they're not really learning to compete every time better than the group, because I'm being watched by the way I walk, talk, look, act.
Right.
When you're in just private training, man, unless the guy's really on you, he's there to kind of make you feel good about your training.
Right.
That ain't real life.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
So, you got to make sure that the intent is always there, not necessarily the result. So I do like small groups, but I do understand just the one-on-one training has a benefit as well.
Well, you do work at the club, and you had worked at West Florida Baseball Academy for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a thing. That's a group. right? I mean, you're doing personal stuff, but also there's a bunch of kids there and they're watching each other, and hitting lessons could turn into people taking rounds and all that stuff. So you do get that in that way, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, your team practices and all this stuff, you know.
Yeah. But it is so important. It is so important to compete. And that's the thing, I think, with baseball. You can, if you're not careful, you can reduce yourself to a good BP hitter, a good T hitter, because it's the difference between swimming in a pool, swimming in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It just, a live arm, people running around, people screaming and hollering, being able to dial in and be one, and that's the beauty, right? Basketball, there's so many moving parts, and not unless you're a special cat, you don't get to go, everybody move to the left, I'm taking this guy one-on-one, or hey, throw me the ball, I got this guy on my back, right?
Yeah.
And in football, you get the one-on-ones out on the side, but there's still a safety over there, and somebody's got to throw you the ball, right? Mm-hmm. But in baseball, you do get one-on-one, but you can totally, if you aren't able to compete, if you aren't able to block everything out, that can become too much.
Oh, yeah.
And you start thinking, you're inside your head. That's the worst thing for a baseball player, right? Get in your head.
Man, I actually, it's funny you said, when I was with the Braves, I was probably 2 months into the season, and I was performing okay, but I was having trouble getting in the strike zone. And I remember, man, I would come set, and I would look straight ahead, and it would be right at the third base dugout where the camera was. And when I would look over, the red light would turn on. And so I knew, I'm on TBS with my face. Like I knew. And my body would just be shaking. And I would try and throw. And as I would lift my leg, I would say, it's a ball. Yeah. And then I would throw, and it was kind of affecting me, and I started actually meeting with a guy, Harvey Dorfman, the guy that wrote The Mental Game of Baseball.
Right.
And I had to kind of learn basically routine, self-talk, kind of blocking out, because it was...
But it's hard because all your life, that camera is what you see before
you knew.
The Hall of Famers that are in your dugout throw the ball, right?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, there was times being young, I thought I would balk with a runner on because my legs would be shaking so bad.
Yeah, but eventually you get it figured out, and that's a beautiful thing too. At that level, they can bring a guy in to talk to you.
Yeah.
At the high school level, it may be Billy sitting beside you that tells you, hey man, that's one thing too about ball clubs. And when you talk about, y'all won the World Series, there are conversations that happen over the course of those months that help players that are playing.
Oh yeah.
You never know what moment matters. You know what I mean? And you never know what discussion outside mattered in the ballgame.
Yeah.
Because anything can, if you've ever read Keith Hernandez's book, he had a bad run there during the series, right? And he was in his head.
Yeah.
And he couldn't figure out how to get out of it. And eventually he had kind of cut his dad off. And eventually, he kind of wound up calling his brother, and his brother was like, talk to your dad a little bit. Get out of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You got to get out of your head, bro. You got to get out of your head. And because of the fact that, okay, this game is for all the marbles in Chicago, and everybody wants the Cubs to go to the series. The magnitude is huge. And this game is in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Magnitude is huge. It's easy to play tricks with yourself. And again, a lot of baseball is, standing out there in left field, looking around. You're standing over in the right field, looking around.
Yeah.
Well, if I mess up, it's on TV. Everybody knows now. You make Bill Buckner, Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, and what's funny is Dave Stapleton, who's from around here. I think it was Dave Stapleton. If I'm wrong, I apologize. Should have been the defensive replacement. And McNamara admitted a couple of years ago he spaced it.
Really?
It wasn't, I want Bill to be out there when we win. He got excited. He said, I got excited, I spaced it.
Yeah.
And so Buckner shouldn't have been out there because he was out there because he could hit.
Yeah.
But his knees were bad.
Yeah.
And so when he went to bend down, his knee buckled on him. It's not like the ball moved. You know what I'm saying? Crazy. Okay, let's talk about this. A quick around the lightning round stuff. Dontrell Willis. He was your roommate for a little bit, and he went from nobody to somebody while he was at your house. Is that right?
Yeah, man. D-Train. Yeah.
Yeah.
He came in.
You see him on the MLB Network now.
Yeah, man, it's so crazy. Such an authentic guy, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came in brand new. Didn't really know anybody, and Misty and I, we invited him to stay with us for a few weeks. He was supposed to just kind of come in and then be gone and go back. And within a few weeks, he was probably the most noticeable guy in South Florida. It was just unbelievable.
Right. Couldn't go anywhere.
No.
Because he had if you're really old, a Fernando Mania type thing. But if you're not really old, if you remember basketball player Lynn Sanity in New York, he had that kind of an explosion.
Yes. It was immediate. I remember going to the mall with him, and about 2 people recognized me. I think the hour we were there, and he thought it was so cool. And me and my wife were kind of giggling, and within a month and a half, 2 months, like I said, we go to the same mall, and I mean, everybody in the mall knew who he was, wanted a picture, wanted an autograph.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a magnetic guy.
And he was like fresh out of high school.
Oh yeah, man, he could throw, he could hit, he
everything.
could run. He was head first sliding in the bases.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, until somebody said, "Hey, man,
yeah,
look here.
We just need you to pitch. We'll have other guys slide." But he was just massive energy for sure.
Right. Okay, your good friend AJ Burnett. What comes to mind when you think of him? And also, where do I find footage of Mad Inc?
Man, I wish we would have ever got our first concert, man. That would have been nice. Yeah, no, he was just a really good dude. I was kind of fond of him, or knew of him just before getting to the Marlins, man. He was a hard-throwing young guy.
Yeah.
Had a few tattoos at the time. Thought
Something
he
you
was
can match up
a little
on.
bit crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
you both kind of had that, I guess edgy would be the term, the way the press presented you.
Yeah, kind of the way they were presented, kind of a few tattoos,
Right.
and, things like that for sure.
Right,
So,
and you know a little bit about kind of being misjudged.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, my tats precede me. And normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but you're on TV every day. And I think you told me that when you were in the minors, they would be like, he had 3 shutout innings, but your name was tattooed,
Yeah, oh yeah, man. My mom would always
tattooed Tim Spooneybarger.
She'd get upset because it was always, and
Not
man,
Tim Spooneybarger. You're tattooed Tim Spooneybarger.
how immature my thoughts were. I also had a nipple ring back in the day.
Ouch.
And so once the news got a hold of that, like press, like there wasn't, it was like.
Yeah, right.
So I probably could have saved myself a little hassle
trouble
from that.
Right. But anyway, so AJ and you kind of connect over that. You connect over music, and when you got injured, one of the sidebars was you began to play because your family's musical. Your father was a music minister.
Yeah.
So you knew notes, you knew chords.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting around playing, and you become good.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to play, and once we got there, we kind of hooked up and bought some gear and just started playing together. And then once the injury happened, that was then when it gave me, I just had so much time for a few years of nothing.
Right.
So yeah.
You got to play in a band for a little while. I bet you didn't have a hard time getting gigs either.
Well, what was funny, man? We talked about it one day in the shower, right? It literally just came up with this funny thing. By the time we got out, this reporter heard us talking about it. An article came out about Mad Inc., our band, and the radio station in Miami called us, and they were like, "We'll have y'all come on. We'll send a limo to pick you up. Y'all can come on, play live on the air." And me and AJ were like, man, bands their whole life have struggled, to get any notice. We don't even play a song.
Right.
And they're like having us come down. If we could have played, we would have played right then.
Right.
But yeah, neither
crazy.
of us could have played anything.
Right. That is so funny. Okay. Now we talked about some of the great pitchers you were around. Beckett.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for that month, he was the best thing on the planet.
Yeah.
When y'all won.
Yeah.
He reminded me a lot of Clemens.
Yeah.
But also I always say with guys like him, Smoltzy, with pitchers that are like that, big, strong, goes out there, throws hard. They remind me of John Wayne.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did he have that kind of vibe just anyway?
And
or?
a lot of those guys seem to be from Texas anyway. Like they're
of
all
course they
Texas
are.
guys.
If they aren't, they say they are.
Man, I think not only Beckett, but most of that staff, I mean, it was a cocktail of ridiculous stuff and just confidence through the roof. And then they wanted to be the best pitcher on that staff.
Right.
We had a guy named Brad Penny, too, that was ridiculous. So
right.
We had Brad Penny, A.J. Burnett, and Josh Beckett. There were Willis came and Mike Redmond played, or Redmond. But they were the three big guys. All of them through upper 90s, could like touch 100. And those guys went out there, I think, to just be better than the other guy every time. And when your stuff's that good, you just know if you're confident, they're not touching you. I mean, that's an unbelievable feeling.
Right. Well, that's kind of a unique thing, too, about baseball, right? Is in football, you don't want to be better than the guard if you're the tackle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are together.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you want to be better, but you're not trying to outdo him, per se. You're trying to work as a... But in baseball, one unique thing we talked about earlier is you are in your own bubble in that way, right? And you can be the best teammate by trying to be the best player.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whereas a wide receiver sometimes can get in trouble because he can't really be the best teammate by walking around saying, why aren't we throwing me the ball?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things with lessons is teaching young pitchers the best way to be a good teammate is to get in the strike zone and force the other team to swing the bat. And when you're young, you want so bad as a pitcher
punch outs.
to swing and miss, man. Swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss. You know, so that's the big thing. When you get a younger pitcher that learns that contact and swings are okay. Now, he has to deal with some years of errors and this and that. But eventually that freeness from a pitcher, having good stuff and knowing I can get in the strike zone, let him swing. I mean, unless you mess up, you're not getting hit.
Right.
Or unless they're relaying signs, you know.
Yeah.
It's the only way you just have that much of an advantage over a hitter.
Yeah. Yeah. You love teaching this stuff.
Yeah, man, I love it. I can't play anymore, you know, and I love all of it, yeah.
Right. And when you see a kid start to get it, you light up too, all that?
Oh, it's the best. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. Let's wrap on that, man. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to go watch a ball game maybe here and there and talk more and more about local stuff.
Heck yeah, I'm excited. Absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Thank you, McCory Homes. Thank you, Faust Builders. Thank you, Sideline Sports Bar and Restaurant, for allowing me to chase knowledge. And I had a blast. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And it's sitting in this room. I don't know if I like the guitars better or the Maddox jersey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sheffield. I've always heard Sheffield's a good guy. Folks,
my favorite.
thank you so much. Take care.
Awesome, man.